My manager said, "Work through the holidays. You'll get a huge bonus." I missed Christmas and New Year's with family. Bonus time came. He gave me a $25 gift card and said, "Tough year for the company." Hey, Reddit. $25? I stared at the plastic gift card in my hand, the cheap cardboard backing still attached. "You're joking, right?" My manager, Greg, leaned back in his chair with that same condescending smile he'd perfected over the years. "Look, I know it's not what we discussed, but it's been a tough year for the company. We all have to make sacrifices." Sacrifices. The word hit me like a slap. I'd sacrificed Christmas dinner with my parents. I'd sacrificed watching my niece open her presents on Christmas morning. I'd sacrificed ringing in the new year with my girlfriend, who was now my ex-girlfriend, because of those exact sacrifices. And this man, sitting in his leather executive chair in his corner office, was talking to me about sacrifices while handing me a gift card that wouldn't even cover a tank of gas. I'm 39 years old, been working at Redfield Analytics for 8 years, and I thought I'd seen every corporate betrayal in the book. This one, though, this was a masterclass in disrespect. "We discussed a substantial bonus," I said, keeping my voice level despite the rage building in my chest. "You said huge. Those were your exact words back in November." Greg waved his hand dismissively. "Things change. The market shifted. You know how it is." The thing is, I didn't know how it was. I knew exactly how it was because I'd spent the last 3 months working 18-hour days, including every single holiday, to finish the Morrison project. That project had brought in $2.3 million to the company. I knew the numbers because I'd been the one running them. "The Morrison project exceeded projections by 40%, I said. "I was here until midnight on Christmas Eve. I came in at 6 a.m. on Christmas Day. And we appreciate that dedication. Do you?" Greg's smile faltered for just a second. "Watch your tone." I looked down at the gift card again. Target. Not even a Visa gift card I could use anywhere. A Target gift card, like I was some teenager who'd helped him move furniture for an afternoon. "When you asked me to work through the holidays, you specifically said I'd be very happy with the compensation. You said the bonus would be substantial and that it would reflect the importance of this project to the company." I don't recall those exact words. I have the email. That got his attention. Greg's eyes narrowed slightly, and I saw him recalculate. But he'd been playing corporate games longer than I had, and he recovered quickly. "Even if I said something to that effect, you should understand that bonuses are discretionary. Nothing was guaranteed in writing." He was right about that, which made me want to throw the gift card in his face even more. But I learned a long time ago that losing your temper at work only gives them ammunition against you. So instead, I stood up, placed the gift card carefully on his desk, and walked out. I didn't go back to my cubicle. I couldn't. If I sat down at my desk, I'd either start breaking things or crying, and I refused to give anyone in that office the satisfaction of seeing me do either. Instead, I went straight to my car and sat there in the parking lot for 20 minutes, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. My phone buzzed. A text from Danielle. "How'd it go?" "Big celebration dinner tonight." Danielle was my younger sister, one of the few people who'd understood why I'd missed the holidays. She'd been the one defending me at Christmas dinner when my mom had made passive-aggressive comments about empty chairs and broken traditions. She'd actually believed me when I'd said it would be worth it. I couldn't bring myself to type a response. The worst part wasn't even the money, though that stung like hell. The worst part was realizing how stupid I'd been. How I'd actually believed Greg when he'd pulled me aside in November with that serious expression and that grave tone. "I need someone I can trust on this," he'd said. "Someone who can handle the pressure and deliver results when it matters most. The holidays are going to be tough, I won't lie to you. But when January comes around, you're going to be very, very happy with what we can do for you." I told my girlfriend, Melissa, about it that night. We'd been together for 3 years, and things had been getting serious. She'd wanted to spend the holidays with me, had bought plane tickets to visit her family in Colorado, and wanted me to come meet them. When I told her I couldn't go, that I had to work, she'd been supportive at first. "If it's really that important for your career, I understand," she'd said. But as December wore on and I kept canceling plans, kept choosing the office over her, that understanding had curdled into resentment. "It's Christmas Eve," she'd said during our last real conversation. "Surely they can give you 1 day off." "I know, and I'm sorry, but I'm so close to finishing this. And the bonus is going to be substantial. We could use that money for what? A down payment on a house? A wedding? Because I'm starting to wonder if you actually want any of those things, or if you're just married to your job." I'd promised her it would be different after the holidays. I'd promised we'd take a trip, somewhere nice, somewhere she'd always wanted to go. I'd use part of the bonus, make it up to her. She'd left on December 28th, packed her stuff while I was at the office putting finishing touches on the Morrison presentation. I'd come home to half-empty closets and a note that said, "I hope it was worth it." Sitting in my car, holding my phone with Danielle's unanswered text on the screen, I finally had my answer to Melissa's unasked question. No, it absolutely was not worth it. I drove home on autopilot, my mind replaying every conversation with Greg, every promise he'd made, every time I defended him to my family and friends. He's not that bad, I told my dad when he'd warned me about trusting management. He recognizes hard work when he sees it. My apartment felt emptier than usual. Melissa's absence was still fresh, still noticeable in all the little ways. The extra toothbrush was gone from the bathroom. Her ridiculous collection of decorative pillows no longer crowded the couch. The fridge contained only my boring meal prep containers, none of her yogurt cups or fancy cheese she liked to buy. I opened my laptop and pulled up my email, searching for that conversation with Greg from November. There it was, dated November 14th. "We need someone senior on the Morrison project who can see it through during the holiday period. I know it's a big ask, but the payoff will be substantial. If you're willing to commit to this, I can guarantee you'll be very happy come January." Guarantee. He'd used the word guarantee in writing. It wasn't a specific dollar amount, but it was something. I started drafting a response, then deleted it, then started again, then deleted it again. What was I going to do? Argue with him over email? Take it to HR, where they'd find 17 ways to explain why substantial was a subjective term and $25 technically qualified as a bonus. My phone rang. My mom. "Sweetheart, I know you're probably busy, but I wanted to check in. Your sister mentioned you were getting your bonus today." The concern in her voice almost broke me. My mom had been so disappointed when I'd missed Christmas. Not angry, disappointment was worse. She'd made my favorite dishes and everything, had the whole family there, and I'd FaceTimed in for 20 minutes between work sessions, looking exhausted and distracted. "Yeah, I got it." "And was it what you hoped?" I couldn't tell her. Not yet. She'd spent the last month and a half justifying my absence to extended family, explaining to everyone that I was working on something important, that it would be worth it. If I told her the truth now, it would validate every criticism she'd ignored, every skeptical comment she'd defended me against. "It's complicated, Mom. Can I call you back tomorrow?" "Of course, honey. But you sound upset. Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine. Just tired." After we hung up, I sat on my couch in the dark, not bothering to turn on any lights. The TV remote was right there, but I couldn't muster the energy to reach for it. Instead, I just sat there, thinking about every choice I'd made in the last 3 months. December 18th. Missed Danielle's birthday dinner because of a critical deadline that turned out to be Greg wanting to review slides that didn't need reviewing. December 23rd. Skipped my company's own holiday party because I was too buried in work. Greg had attended, of course. Probably told everyone what a dedicated employee I was while sipping champagne. December 25th, 6 a.m. Sat in an empty office, the only person on the entire floor, building financial models while my family ate breakfast together 3 states away. December 31st, 11:45 p.m. Watched the ball drop on a YouTube livestream on my work monitor while formatting a document that could have easily waited until January 2nd. Every single sacrifice laid out like a receipt, and at the bottom of it, the total came to $25. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from my friend Nathan. "Drinks tonight? Haven't seen you since before Christmas." I'd been blowing off Nathan since November. He'd invited me to his New Year's party, which I'd skipped. Before that, his Christmas get-together. Before that, a bunch of other things I couldn't even remember because I'd been so focused on work. "Can't tonight." Rain check. I typed back, even though I had zero plans and nothing to do. The truth was, I didn't want to see anyone. Didn't want to explain what had happened. Didn't want to see the pity in their eyes or hear them tell me what I already knew. That I should have seen this coming. That I'd been played. That I was an idiot for trusting corporate promises. Around 8 o'clock, hunger finally forced me off the couch. I hadn't eaten since breakfast, and even that had just been a protein bar at my desk. I opened the fridge, stared at the sad collection of chicken and broccoli containers, and closed it again. Instead, I grabbed my keys and headed out for fast food, because if this was rock bottom, I might as well eat like it. The drive-thru was nearly empty. I ordered a burger, fries, and a soda, and when the teenager at the window told me the total, I almost laughed. $12.47. My substantial Bonus wouldn't even have covered 2 meals at a fast food restaurant. I ate in my car in the parking lot, watching people walk in and out of the Target across the street. The same Target my gift card was for. The irony wasn't lost on me. My phone lit up with an email notification. Work email. From Greg, sent to the whole team. Team, fantastic news. The Morrison Project has been recognized by senior leadership as one of our biggest wins this quarter. This is a testament to everyone's hard work and dedication. Special thanks to those who went above and beyond during the holiday season to make this happen. Let's keep this momentum going into Q1. I read it 3 times, waiting for my name to be mentioned somewhere. It wasn't. That's when something shifted inside me. The anger I'd been suppressing all day crystallized into something colder, sharper. Clarity. I opened a new browser tab and started searching. Employment attorney near me. Bonus dispute resolution. Verbal contract employment law. An hour later, I was deep in a Reddit forum reading stories from other people who'd been screwed over by their employers. The stories were depressingly similar. Promises made, sacrifices demanded, compensation mysteriously evaporating when payment time came. Most of the comments fell into 2 categories. People saying, lawyer up, and people saying, just quit. Neither option felt satisfying. A lawyer would cost money I didn't have, and the case was shaky at best. Quitting would feel good for about 30 seconds before the reality of job hunting and mortgage payments kicked in. But there had to be something. Some way to not let Greg just get away with this. I pulled up the Morrison Project files on my laptop. All of them were on the company's server, but I'd also kept local copies as backup, standard practice. I started going through them, not sure what I was looking for exactly, just looking. That's when I found it. Buried in one of the subfolders was an email thread I'd been CC'd on back in December. It was between Greg and his boss, Patricia, about budget allocations for the Morrison Project. In the thread, Patricia had approved a performance bonus pool of $45,000 for the project team to be distributed at your discretion based on individual contributions. $45,000 for a team of 5 people. And Greg had given me a $25 gift card. I sat back, my heart pounding. This wasn't just stingy. This was theft. He'd been given money specifically earmarked to reward the team, and he'd pocketed it. Or at least, he hadn't distributed it the way it was intended. My hands were shaking as I took screenshots of the email thread. Then I saved copies to my personal cloud storage. Then I emailed them to my personal account. I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do with this information, but I knew I needed to preserve it. It was nearly midnight by the time I closed my laptop. My fast food wrapper was still on the passenger seat of my car, my apartment was still dark, and I was still alone. But for the first time all day, I didn't feel powerless. I spent most of that night lying awake, running through scenarios in my head. Confront Greg directly? Go to Patricia? HR? Each option had downsides. Greg would deny everything or find a way to spin it. Patricia might be in on it, or she might throw Greg under the bus to protect herself. HR existed to protect the company, not employees. Around 3 in the morning, I finally fell asleep, and I dreamed about Christmas dinner. But in the dream, I was there. I was sitting at the table with my family, and Melissa was there too, and my mom was happy, and nobody was disappointed in me. When I woke up at 6, the dream lingered for a few seconds before reality crashed back in. I called in sick to work. I never called in sick. In 8 years at Redfield Analytics, I'd maybe taken 5 sick days total. But I couldn't face that office, couldn't face Greg's smug expression or pretend everything was fine. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop across town, somewhere none of my coworkers would be, and set up my laptop. I needed to think clearly, needed to figure out my next move without the pressure of office politics breathing down my neck. The coffee shop was busy with the morning rush, people grabbing lattes before work, freelancers camping out at tables with their MacBooks, a couple having what looked like a tense conversation in the corner. Normal people living normal lives, probably not dealing with corporate betrayal before their first caffeine hit. I ordered the largest coffee they had and found a table in the back. First step, document everything. I opened a new document and started writing down every conversation I could remember with Greg about the bonus. Dates, what was said, context. Then I pulled up my email and went through every message, every meeting invite, every innocuous-seeming exchange that might be relevant. The pattern was damning. Greg had been dangling this bonus like a carrot for months. November, substantial compensation. December 5th, you won't be disappointed. December 20th, trust me, it'll be worth it. Every time I'd hesitated, every time I'd pushed back on working another weekend or holiday, he'd reassured me. And I believed him because I'd wanted to believe him. Because I needed to believe that the system worked, that hard work was rewarded, that I wasn't just a disposable cog in a corporate machine. My phone rang. Work number. I declined it. It rang again. This time it was Danielle. Hey, I answered. Nathan called me, she said without preamble. Said you've been acting weird. And you never answered my text yesterday about the bonus. What happened? I told her everything. The gift card, the email from Patricia about the bonus pool, all of it. She was quiet for a long moment after I finished. That's illegal, right? She finally said. That has to be illegal. I don't know. Maybe not technically illegal, but definitely unethical. So what are you going to do? That's what I'm trying to figure out. You should talk to a lawyer. Or at least report him to someone higher up. It's not that simple. Why not? You have proof. You have emails. Because offices don't work like that, Danny. If I make a big deal out of this, I'll get labeled as difficult. It'll follow me. Reference checks, reputation, all of it. So you're just going to let him screw you over? I didn't say that. We talked for another 20 minutes. Danielle wanted me to burn it all down, expose Greg, make him pay. She'd always been more confrontational than me, more willing to fight. I envied that about her. After we hung up, I sat there staring at my laptop screen. The document I'd been working on looked back at me. Pages of evidence, carefully time-stamped and organized. Proof that I'd been lied to, that promises had been made and broken, that a bonus pool had been allocated and then mysteriously disappeared. But proof of what exactly? That my manager was a liar and a cheat? That corporations don't care about their employees? These weren't revelations. Everyone already knew this. The only question was what I was going to do about it. My phone buzzed with another email notification. This one from HR. We noticed you called in sick today. Please remember to log your sick time in the system and provide a doctor's note if you're out for more than 3 consecutive days. The impersonal tone, the bureaucratic language, the implicit distrust, it all crystallized something for me. I'd given this company 8 years of my life. I'd missed weddings and birthdays and holidays. I'd put their needs above my own relationships, my own health, my own happiness. And in return, they'd given me a $25 gift card and an email reminding me to follow sick leave protocols. I opened a new email to Patricia. Then I closed it, opened it again, closed it again. This wasn't a decision to make in a coffee shop while running on no sleep and pure anger. I needed to be smart about this. Strategic. I packed up my laptop and drove home. On the way, I called my dad. Hey, kiddo, he answered, and just hearing his voice made my throat tight. Your mom said you sounded off yesterday. Everything okay? Not really, Dad. I told him everything, not just about the gift card, but about all of it. Melissa leaving. Missing Christmas. The email from Patricia about the bonus pool. He listened without interrupting, which was one of the things I'd always appreciated about him. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. You remember when I got laid off from Patterson Industries? He finally said. I did. I'd been 23, fresh out of college. My dad had worked there for 15 years, had been promised his pension was secure, had believed them when they said the company was financially stable. Then one Friday afternoon, they'd called everyone into a meeting and announced layoffs effective immediately. My dad had been one of them. I spent about a week being angry, he continued. Bitter. Feeling betrayed. And I was betrayed. They knew for months that layoffs were coming and they lied to us about it. But eventually, I realized something. Being angry didn't hurt them. It only hurt me. They'd already moved on. So you think I should just let this go? No. I think you should stop trying to make them care about what they did to you, because they won't. Greg isn't going to suddenly grow a conscience. The company isn't going to realize they made a mistake and fix it. They made their choice. Now you need to make yours. After we hung up, I sat in my car in my apartment parking lot, engine off, thinking about what he'd said. He was right. I'd been so focused on the injustice of it all, on trying to make Greg or Patricia or someone acknowledge what had been done to me, that I hadn't stopped to ask myself what I actually wanted to happen. Did I want an apology? No. It would be meaningless coming from Greg. Did I want the money I felt I was owed? Yes, but realistically, I wasn't going to get it. Not without a lawsuit I couldn't afford and might not win. Did I want revenge? Maybe. But revenge for the sake of revenge was just anger with a different name. What I really wanted, I realized, was to not feel this way anymore. To not feel used and stupid and powerless. Inside my apartment, I made a decision. I opened my laptop and started working on my resume for the first time in 8 years. It took me all afternoon, updating experience, quantifying achievements, making myself look as good on paper as I'd thought I was in reality. The Morrison project looked great on there. $2.3 million in new revenue. Exceeded projections by 40%, delivered ahead of schedule. I started browsing job listings. Senior analyst positions at competing firms. Some paid more than what I was making. Some offered better benefits. All of them, presumably, had managers who weren't Greg. That evening, I sent my resume to 5 companies. Then I opened my email and wrote to Patricia. Hi, Patricia. I wanted to follow up on the Morrison Project bonus discussion. Greg mentioned that bonuses were reduced this year due to budget constraints. I'm hoping you might have time to discuss the compensation structure and my contributions to the project's success. I've been with the company for 8 years and have consistently delivered strong results. I'd appreciate the opportunity to talk about my career path here and how my performance can be appropriately recognized going forward. Please let me know when you have availability for a conversation. It was professional, non-accusatory, and put her on notice that I knew something was off without directly accusing Greg of anything. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Then I called Melissa. It went to voicemail. Hey, it's me. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, and I get that. I just wanted to say you were right. About all of it. The job, the priorities, the choices I was making. You were right, and I was wrong, and I'm sorry. I don't expect that to change anything, but I needed you to know that I finally get it. I hung up and stared at my phone, not expecting a response, but hoping for one anyway. It didn't come. The next morning, I went back to work. Walking into that office felt surreal, like I was watching myself do it from outside my body. Greg's door was open, and I could see him in there, on a phone call, laughing about something. I sat down at my cubicle and opened my email. Patricia had responded. Let's talk today at 3 p.m. My office. My stomach dropped. This was it. Whatever was going to happen next was about to happen. The hours until 3 o'clock crawled by. I tried to focus on work, but it was impossible. Every few minutes I checked the clock, watched the minutes tick past with agonizing slowness. At 2:55, I walked to Patricia's office. Her assistant waved me in. Patricia was in her mid-50s, always professionally dressed, always composed. She'd been with the company for 20 years and had climbed the ladder through sheer competence and political savvy. I'd always respected her, but we'd never had much direct contact. Close the door, she said as I entered. I did. I got your email, she said, getting right to it. And I want to understand what your concerns are. This was the moment. I could play it safe, pretend everything was fine, or I could be honest. I worked through the entire holiday season on the Morrison project, I said. Christmas, New Year's, everything in between. Greg told me multiple times that there would be substantial compensation for this commitment. When bonus time came, he gave me a $25 Target gift card. Patricia's expression didn't change. I see. I also know that you approved a $45,000 bonus pool for the Morrison project team specifically. Now her eyebrows went up slightly. How do you know that? I was CC'd on the email chain between you and Greg in December. She pulled up something on her computer, typed for a moment, then looked at me. That email was marked confidential. It was sent to my work email address. I didn't hack anything or access files I wasn't supposed to see. Patricia leaned back in her chair, studying me. What is it you want? The question was so direct it caught me off guard. I'd expected deflection, corporate speak, maybe some version of we'll look into it. I want fair compensation for my work, I said. I delivered exceptional results on a critical project while everyone else was with their families. I did exactly what was asked of me, based on promises that were made. I don't think wanting to be fairly compensated for that is unreasonable. And you feel $25 isn't fair compensation, do you? It was a risky question, pushing back like that, but I was past the point of playing it safe. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, give me until end of day tomorrow. Don't talk to anyone about this conversation. Can you do that? Yes. And one more thing. Where did you send your resume yesterday? Because if you applied to Cornerstone Analytics, you should know they called me for a reference check this morning. My heart stopped. Cornerstone had been one of the 5 companies I'd applied to. I hadn't expected them to move that fast. I'm exploring my options, I said carefully. Smart. Stay close to your desk tomorrow. We'll talk again. I left her office with my heart pounding. I had no idea if that had gone well or terribly. The rest of that day and the next morning were torture. I couldn't focus on anything. Every time my phone rang or email dinged, I jumped. At 4:30 p.m. the next day, Patricia's assistant called me. She's ready for you. I walked back to her office, my palms sweating. This time, Greg was there too. My stomach lurched. This was going to be bad. They brought us both in to mediate, or to fire me, or sit, Patricia said. I sat. She looked at Greg. Explain to me how you distributed the Morrison bonus pool. Greg shifted uncomfortably. I used my discretion as team lead to allocate based on individual contributions, and did you give anyone on the team more than $100? Silence. Did you? Patricia repeated, her voice harder now. Distribute any meaningful portion of that $45,000 bonus pool. The situation was complicated, Greg started. There were budget considerations, and the budget was approved. The money was allocated. Where did it go? I watched Greg squirm, and for the first time in days, I felt something other than anger or despair. I felt vindication. This is a personnel matter that should be discussed privately, Greg said, looking at me meaningfully. No, Patricia said. This is an ethics matter that involves him directly. So I'll ask you one more time. Where did the Morrison bonus money go? Greg's jaw tightened. I redistributed it to other priorities. What other priorities? Operational needs. The sales conference in Miami. Some discretionary funds for. You spent $45,000 of project bonus money on a sales conference and discretionary funds? Funds that were explicitly approved for performance bonuses. The room went silent. Patricia turned to me. I apologize. This should never have happened. You'll receive your appropriate share of the bonus pool by end of week. Additionally, we'll be conducting a full review of bonus distributions across Greg's team for the last 3 years. She looked at Greg. You and I will continue this conversation with HR present. You can go. Greg stood up, his face red, and left without looking at me. Patricia waited until the door closed. I meant what I said. This shouldn't have happened. For what it's worth, the Morrison project was exceptional work, and you deserved recognition for it. You'll get that recognition and the compensation that should have come with it. Thank you, I managed. However, she continued, I'm not going to pretend this situation is salvageable. You and Greg can't work together after this. So I have a proposition for you. She explained that they were opening a new regional office and needed someone senior to help set it up. It would be a lateral move title-wise, but with a raise and full autonomy. No Greg. Different team entirely. Or, she said, I saw Cornerstone called me. I gave you a strong reference. If you want to pursue that opportunity, I understand, and there will be no hard feelings. I went home that night with a lot to think about. On one hand, staying meant working for a company that had let this happen in the first place, even if Patricia was trying to make it right. On the other hand, leaving meant starting over somewhere new, with no guarantee it would be better. My phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. Got your voicemail. Thank you for saying that. I'm not ready to talk yet, but I wanted you to know I heard you. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was acknowledgement. It was something. 3 days later, I got my bonus. Not $25, $23,000. My share of the pool, plus what Patricia called additional compensation for the inconvenience. I stared at the direct deposit notification on my phone. $23,000. It should have felt like victory, and part of it did. But another part of me couldn't stop thinking about the cost. Melissa was gone. I'd missed Christmas with my family for money that I'd had to fight for, that I shouldn't have had to fight for. The trust I'd had in my work, in the system, in the idea that doing the right thing led to good outcomes. All of that was gone too. That weekend, I drove to my parents' house. Danielle was there too, and we had a late Christmas dinner. Ham and all the fixings, presents exchanged 2 weeks past their expiration date. So what are you going to do? My mom asked as we sat around the table. About the job? I'd been asking myself the same question all week. I'm going to take the Cornerstone offer, I said. My dad nodded. Good. Really? You don't think I should stay? Patricia made it right in the end. She did, he agreed. But you know what you can't ever get back? Your time. Those holidays you missed, the relationship you lost. That's gone. No bonus makes up for that. So the question isn't whether Patricia fixed it. The question is whether you trust that company not to do it to you again. He was right. I didn't trust them. And I couldn't spend the next however many years looking over my shoulder, wondering if I was being lied to, waiting for the next betrayal. I gave my notice the following Monday. Patricia took it professionally, even if she seemed disappointed. Greg, I heard through the office gossip chain, was being restructured into a position with no direct reports and significantly less authority. On my last day at Redfield Analytics, I cleaned out my desk and said goodbye to the few coworkers I'd actually been friendly with. Nobody threw me a party. There was no cake, no card, no speeches about my 8 years of service. I walked out to my car at 5 p.m. on a Friday afternoon, a cardboard box of desk supplies in my arms, and felt lighter than I had in months. The job at Cornerstone started 2 weeks later. New office, new team, new manager who actually seemed to value work-life balance. It wasn't perfect, no job is, but it was different, and different was what I needed. I never did fully reconcile with Melissa. We met for coffee once, had a cordial conversation about closure and moving forward, and that was it. Some things, once broken, don't get fixed. You just have to accept the pieces and move on. But I did make it to Danielle's birthday party that year, and I was there for Christmas. And when my new manager asked me to work through a holiday, I said no, and the world didn't end. Looking back, that $25 gift card was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because of what it was, but because of what it showed me. It ripped away every illusion I'd been carrying about corporate loyalty and revealed the truth underneath. You're only as valuable as your last project, your last deliverable, your last sacrifice. But here's the other truth I learned. You get to decide how much you're willing to sacrifice. You get to decide what your time is worth, what your relationships are worth, what your dignity is worth. And you get to decide when enough is enough. For me, that moment came when I was staring at a plastic gift card, realizing I'd traded my Christmas for something that wouldn't even buy dinner. Some people might call that a breakdown. I call it clarity.